This video is for training for CuetPOS point of sale. To start with today, we're going to just start up the program using the icon down in the system tray. And at this point, if there's a new version of the software, you're going to be prompted for it. And what you'll see is two main screens where we can toggle back and forth by hitting the hamburger to go to sales or hitting the little clock with the $sign on it to go over to the facility side. And we call them facilities instead of tables because, as you can see, we can have all kinds of different facilities otherwise, like cornhole, bowling, darts, foosball, pinball, just to name a few. But we also have bars, four tops, things of that nature. So it's more or less a facility screen is what we'll refer to this in the future. But for what I'll do right now, I'm going to show you how to start out the day. You'll see that nobody's logged in, so I'm going to use the sign in. This area right here is where you can see who's signed in. There's actually nobody there right now, so I'm going to use the manager's password here, which is 1/1, and hit the word take control. That little chit's going to print out and let us know that I'm logged in. The next thing you'll see is this red drawer is kind of signifying that we don't have a drawer open. So I'm clicking on it and I can enter the starting amount and put a float in. If I want to do certain values here, I can do that. I can even come over here and say I have 5 quarters, right? And I hit continue and it does all the math for me. Now that drawer will be green and it'll be actually open to check out people. Now I can add items to a tab without the drawer being open, but I can't close a tab. So if you ever run into a situation where you don't see the collect button or the collect button's grayed out, it's because you need to open a drawer. But let's start with doing something here, making a tab. Very easy. In the upper left-hand corner here, we have the new tab button. And I'm just going to click on it, and that's going to bring up a new tab. Right here, I can cancel out using the X if it was a mistake, if I bumped it with my wrist or my finger. But if I want to add items, I can go right here and click on the hamburger, and that brings up the various categories that I can choose from and present the buttons. So the speed screen is just a mix of everything. Many of the category items. It's a mishmash of things. Some have pictures, some don't, some have text on them. But in the end, we can go and find a little prettier one. I see somebody snuck an Almond Joy snack in here, but we can add items by tapping on them or clicking on them. Now, when I click this Abita, I'm going to have the choice of what size of Abita that I want. I'm going to say I want a 23-ounce draft. And with that, you'll see that it's also yellow, which corresponds with the yellow total of $44.50. That's because there's a special going on, and that happens to be one of the items on the special. But at this point here, I'm going to click on Add to Tab. That sound is the order going off to the bar. Should there have been food items in there, that would have went to a food order, a kitchen order printer, or one of the kitchen display units. But now you can see the items have been placed in the cart, and all I have to do now is hit return. If I would like to customize this a little bit, I can hit the little green eye and I can tap on the name and I can say this is Red, because we all know Red. And when I come out here, we see Red's name. There's a little bit of information here. Jen W is the actual employee. That CA799 is the unique identifier. And that Jen W that's underneath the word Red, who is the tab owner, is the actual owner of this tab and kind of, is the one taking care of this tab. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to show you about a pre-auth. So let's just say that you want to pre-authorize this tab. So you can come over and hit pre-auth, and we already have this one set at $20. Now I'm going to go ahead and click collect, and we have a test card taped to the machine, and it is putting the information in. So now you'll see that the card has been pre-authorized and we have a $20 pre-auth on it. Now, We have this particular machine set up to be incremental. So if I order again on this tab, and let's just say I order a bucket, which I'm going to do here in a second, which is underneath the Budweiser here, it's going to take it over the next $20 increment, and it's going to pre-auth the higher amount. So I'm going to click on the bucket, and this is what's known as a force modifier. And if you look in between the cancel and the startups, there's 0 to 5, meaning I can't stop at 4 and I can't go to 6. So I'm going to pick a couple of different beers here, and you'll see certain beers have an actual upcharge. Now, when I click this Love Street, the bucket automatically got added with the beers that had the upcharge. They were the ones that took it over the average price or the low price of the beer. As you see, there's some pretty cheap beers in there. But anyway, I'm going to click Add to Tab. And when we put this in, see how the pre-authorization has jumped up to $80 now. And we also have a couple of tickets here that are going. And we can come back by hitting the return button, and that presents us with the tab review. Now let's go over to the facility side, and I'm going to show you a simple way to start a table. And the first way is I'm going to just tap on table 14, and you'll see a few things here. First off, you'll see these flat rates that are on the side, and those are for the table, and those are programmed in, and those are customizable. The next thing you'll see is the last transaction, and that's for when the guy walks away and wants to come back and talk about how you charged him and why. But for the most part, what we're going to deal with is just these numbers, and we're going to start out 2 players. If this was a mistake, we'd hit the red X, but since it's not, I'm just going to hit OK. And you'll see that we start to see some information here. A minute hasn't accrued, only a few seconds, but we have the table, the number of players, how much their bill is so far, and how long they've been playing. Now, if I click on this again, you can see there's a grayed out set of icons on the left-hand side here. I'm going to tap that box just to the left of member and make it green, and that illuminates all these, making all these player icons in play or active. So what I'm going to do now is I'm also going to tap the hamburger, and I'm going to add a couple of items to it, and I'm going to add, say, I'll do a super burger meal. And this is another form of force modifier. This is where we walk you through the process of actually choosing the meal and helping you do so. So the customer wants it medium well, they want it on a poppy seed bun, they want an extra patty with American cheese, ketchup, and egg and chili. And then they want onion rings, they want a chocolate shake, and they're done. And that order just got split up and sent to the various order printers that it would have been corresponding with the food and the drink. And if we come back over onto this side, you'll see the tab for table 14, because now it's the first line of that information that we put above the name. Now, if I want to come in here and change this name and I want to say it's Tom, I can do so. Now, when I come out here, Tom is there. And if I come over here, Tom is already here as well. So those two are linked, and it's a good way to do things. If you want, at the very top where it says table 14, during Tom's stay, you can say this is Tom. And during this visit, it will change that name now to Tom so that you kind of know where Tom is. You know where table 14 is if you've worked there more than 2 days. But knowing where Tom is maybe a little bit different. So it helps you locate Tom on table 14. Let's do a simple checkout here. A simple checkout, we would start with this red stopwatch. I'm going to click on it. And at this point here, I have 2 players, and I can do the checkout. Now we're using a cash discount approach. So if the person pays with a card, which they can, we can, just click collect. There is the customer copy button here. I'm going to leave it on for this particular case. But if I turn it off, it stays off until I either check it back on or I restart the software. As soon as you restart it, it comes back up as being defaulting to printing. So I'm going to click collect. And there's the little beep, and we're going to get their printing out. So now they're done. If I come over to this one, I can also use this red X to jump right to the checkout. Okay, I'm going to turn the customer copy off on this one, and I'm going to hit the word collect, and you'll see red has a card on file with us. He's the one that we did the pre-auth for. So I'm going to go ahead and just hit pre-auth, use the pre-auth version, and it's going to take that, and you'll see that it actually does pretty quickly do things. If I want to come back and print Red's ticket out, I can come right here and I can print the merchant receipt, or I can print the client receipt, and I can even process a refund if I would choose to. But the whole functionality can be done where you can save a lot of paper and just print out the receipt just in case they want it, right? Pretty easy stuff. Let me show you a little bit more about how things might work on a regular tab. So what I want to do now is I want to show you how to do a repeat order. So let's just say that this particular group of people ordered a whole bunch of different drinks, okay? And they put them on their tab. How do we get this really quickly, order another round? Well, we can come right here and hit repeat. And you'll notice it puts them all in the cart. Now, if I say, oh, it's a repeat, but the guy drinking the Founders doesn't want that, I can set it to 0 and hit enter, and it takes it off. Right? Now, something just happened that is pretty interesting, and if you'll see it, it's the service fee. And this is a programmable custom value that we put in, and this particular customer went over $150. I believe it's $150 on this machine. It's customizable. You don't have to have it on, but it's something that you can push auto gratuity into the system where you can do it by the number of people, which you can adjust right here, or you can do it with the amount of the ticket, or both. So if there's only one person and it goes over 150, it can trigger the service fee. If there's 8 people and it's only a $40 bill, it can still trigger the service fee. So you get the best of both worlds, or you can just not set it up at all. It's totally your option, but I did want to make sure that you saw that. And I'm going to just back out of here. Now I'm going to show you the waiting list. The waiting list is right here, and it is something where you can add a person to it. And at the same time, you can put in a cell phone number. I'm going to go ahead and put my cell phone number in. And it's on the website, so I'm not worried too much about things. And I'm going to put, my name in there. I'll put JR. And I'll start it out. And what you'll see is that the waiting list will go green. And I'll be able to be communicated with through this cell phone. So I do the same thing. I click the far left field, turn that box green, and I can come right here and send myself a message. But furthermore, I can be over at the bar or wherever, and I can have a tab. And just to show you what that looks like, the very first line of this particular tab is me on the waiting list, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to come back here, and now I'm going to move myself to a list, and I'm going to send myself this one. It says, your table's ready. Please come to the ball counter, and we'll move your tab for you to your table. Okay, I'm going to do that. The text has been sent, and I think I just got it. There it is. So now I'm going to move, and I'm going to put myself on table here, and I'm going to say that there was one other person with me. And we're at this point even going to have a couple more beers. And when we come back here, we can see that it no longer says waiting list. It says table 13 and whatnot. Now, I'm going to move somebody here over to my table because they might have been hanging out at the bar and the bartender might not have known that we were together, but they're going to now start playing pool. So I clicked that lavender box and that gave me these options. The first one I'm going to show you is the move tabs. So I'm going to move it over. When I do that, it says, up in pink, it says pick the table you want. Well, I'm going to put them on to 13. And here it says, well, is that the other person that you just added, or is this a completely different player? Well, it's a completely different player, so I'm going to create a new. And there we have it. So we have two people that have tabs and one that doesn't. And I'm even going to rename this one here, and I'm going to say this is Ted. I'm pretty lazy with the names, if you can't tell. And so when I come over, we can see both tabs are on table 13 now. And both are pretty much, ringing up a total. Now I'm going to show you what the Lavender's box does with the organize feature. And the organize is basically when you put the wrong item on the wrong tab and you need to make a mistake. Or you need to not make a mistake. You've already made a mistake. You want to make it right. So you can take an item and you can drag it over. You can also drag entire tickets. But moreover, it shows you by color what you just moved, but it'll also tell you this was moved from CA 800 TED. And in the end, you can either undo all changes or hit done. I'm going to hit done. And you'll see that the new totals are in place. If I review, you can see the one has the items taken off and the other has the items. See how it says ticket moved from CA 800, right? And nice little feature to when you make a mistake, because that always will happen. People will accidentally just put an order on another tab by accident. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try and show you partial payments. So with partial payments and move the tab, why don't I do the move the tab first actually. So let's pretend that we're all checking out and we all want to go maybe our separate ways, but we're going to stay in the building. So we just check out like this. Now, on the far left-hand column, you'll see a lime green box. Okay, see it next to where it says Tab JR and Tab TED? That corresponds with the legend down in the lower left-hand corner. That means process payment. But if I tap on where it says Tab JR, it takes it and turns it black. You also notice that the totals changed. And black means leave on table, which I'm not going to do. But red means move it to a tab. So I'm moving it to a tab. And the same thing I'm going to do with TED. And then what I'm going to do down here is with the person that came with me, since they don't have any items, I'm going to move their table time right up with me. So now we have two tabs in the end that will be moved to, even though there were 3 players. We did the little move with the yellow. Had we not done that, there would have been 3 separate tabs, and the one tab would have only had pull time. This kind of saves a step from moving that at some other point. So I'm going to hit collect. Even though it's on card, you'll get a message that'll say you can't process 0. Ignore that. Just hit OK, and it will move those. And if I come over here, you'll see there's no longer a table 13 on there. Now, let's just say that we decide that we're going to go to a 4-top now. We can do the same thing and go over to D2. Okay? And here we are sitting there with 2 tabs. There might be 3 people, but there's at least 2 tabs on this table. And we want to do a checkout. And this is where we can have multiple types of checkouts. And the first way I'm going to show you is, and I'm going to back out of this, is if I want to just close everybody. And this deals with the age-old problem of, do you want a single check or separate checks? And they always say single check, and then at the end, it's, hey, can you split these checks up? Well, had you put a tab onto each player and put that player to a seat, so to speak, at the table, you would have had that already split up. But if they really truly want to check out, you can click this red box and you have everything combined. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel, and now I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you another way to check out. So let's just say that we select this particular item and we want to close, right? So I'm going to close just by hitting this red X, and you'll see now that it's just that one tab. I've split the checks. Now at this point, this person says, hey, you know what? I'm going to put $75 on cash, right? So he puts $75 down, and I did this by simply clicking the amount or the pay cash item. I put the dollars and cents in, I hit enter. Now I hit collect, right? That's collected. And now you'll see the new total is there. Okay, so now the person is actually going to check out using their credit card. So after they've paid the 75, it's pretty easy. We just hit collect. And there we go. Now for the next person, we can take a look at things. We have the service fee on there. They have a total. And we can come back to this and we can check this person out, or we can move them around. So let's just say after his buddy left, this particular guy, Ted, wants to play a little bit more pool. So we're going to move him over, and he's going to start here, and we're going to add one more person. And furthermore, Ted decides that since he's going to stay, he wants to order some beers. But now you add some beers to his tab. You want to see what his tab is at. When you tap this burger button, it actually takes us to the add items page. But if we put our finger on it and hold it and swipe it, it takes us to the review page. And this is what we call the tab review. It gives us everything that's on the tab, names, whatnot. I'm going to do a pre-authorization on this for Ted, because you might say, hey, his bill's starting to get pretty high. We better make sure that we have enough money here to do things on his card. So again, while we do the first one, only $20, if he even adds just a Bud Light to this, you'll see that it'll go back and get the full $80 pre-authorization. So now if we do want to check Ted out, we can do so with his pre-authorized card, and everything's done. And that is a very simple startup for most of the day-to-day transactions that you're going to use in CuetPOS. Stay tuned. We're probably going to have another 20-30 minute video that'll show you even more. That we'll get into some of the other actions that you can do as a server, bartender, or just houseman. All right. Thanks for listening.